Think about all the other small stuff that we're going to get done. No more transgender stuff in the military. No more transgenders in the military, period. Like, that needs to go, right, Blake? That was an order for a long time. Like, if you're transgender, you're not serving the U.S. military, period. End of story. Not a social experiment.
That was true story. That was
Trump did that first term.
No, that was Obama was a policy to allow that.
Yes.
And then it was early in Trump's term, and they hadn't reversed this yet. And so I was with Tucker Carlson's show at the time, and this was like spring 2017. And I was like, Tucker, like, they haven't reversed this. It's really annoying. And Tucker's like, yeah, you're right. Like, we should write a thing about that. And so we did that, and then we talked about it that night. And then the next morning on Twitter, Trump is like, yeah, we're getting rid of that. And like, you would get these articles where these generals are all blindsided by this tweet. It was so remarkable.
So I mean, just other stuff that we're gonna do. For example, no more like gay poems on battleships. You know, de-woking the military, I think, is good.
That's basic stuff.
No,
right?
but I'm just saying, like,
and you can frame it in such a good way.
But like, this is good stuff. I mean, it's not stuff that
but you can frame it in such a positive way too. It doesn't need to be like even red meat for your base. You can just say the purpose of the United States military is to protect America. We are going to de-emphasize and remove all of this extraneous political.
We have a mandate. We have a mandate
stuff.
to take woke out of our institutions. That is part of the mandate. Obviously, drill baby drill is easy. They don't need me for that, right? But
what
the other education though stuff is obviously, you know, no men and women sports, but it'd be really interesting to do investigations, deeper ones, into how these colleges are still using affirmative action, and they're doing it against the Supreme Court, right? They're totally defying it. And they're totally.
Like,
and
Obama got so good at this where they would do these just far-reaching DOJ investigations of police departments where you would investigate them for alleged racism. It was total sham investigations. You would say like, oh, you pull over, you know, black men more often than other people. We're going to ring you up. And then you force them into these consent decrees where they're basically ordered to stop policing as much. And it was total nonsense, but they did that. So what you do is you can do these sorts of far-ranging investigations and say, yeah, we'd like to see all of the emails that are sent internally by Harvard's admissions department because it was very interesting how you guys behaved all these years. And you just do that, and you really start putting the pressure on them to think about how their behavior has interacted with the clear, plain text of federal law.
Someone says, go ahead, yeah.
One last thing, I want to bring back the executive order on architecture. And just say,
what was it?
Oh, yes.
So it was like he was 100%. Saying, we're not going to have the federal government build ugly buildings anymore.
I love it.
He's like, we're going to have our official styles, neoclassical.
I totally agree.
I even agree with like Steve Saylor. You could just have anything like before the Great Depression looks good. Like,
yes, I completely agree.
It can be Art Deco.
I totally
it can
agree.
be Spanish colonial. But none of this like ugly crap like the Boston
that's
City
another
Hall.
one. Give the land back. So go to Bureau of Land Management and do the greatest land transfer back to the states.
Yes.
BLM. Just literally go to the Department of Interior and be like, hey, we're going to give back 200 million acres to Arizona.
Trump talked about it in Nevada.
He's talked about it.
He's talked about it.
Very popular.
We got to get a Republican governor here in Arizona to help like make it happen. But I was going to say, what about here's kind of I'm going to start with the easy one and then go to the harder one. First one is defunding PBS.
Oh, NPR.
And NPR.
I totally agree. That has to go through Congress. I think it's worth shutting down the government.
But you should shut the government
NPR, I will actively now advocate every day to make sure you are defunded.
And they're going to resist you with a lot of radio programs.
With a lot of
defund PBS. But here's
by the way, fund yourself. Oh, you can still exist. Fund yourself.
Here's the next one. What about federal subsidies for cable?
No, we don't want to. No, we don't want to.
Guys, there's something that we.
You don't want to get rid of cable?
Wait, hold on. Wait, do we subsidize cable?
Oh, we totally subsidize.
Oh, then get rid of it. I didn't know. How do we subsidize it?
The federal government gives like billions of dollars to cable to keep cable alive.
Is that right?
You can go through it. Yeah, there's entire infrastructures for this.
Oh, cable. No, we should stop subsidizing it.
They should. We need no dollars to go to cable.
I totally agree with that.
Just in cable.
By the way, we need to put together if you put together the brain trust of the conservative movement, aren't there think tanks that exist to do this? By the way, like all they do is to think, what if one day?
Right. That's the name. That's the point of the name.
But wait, wouldn't they like put together like a project and then name it?
Whoa, and it might even like be named after a year in administration.
But like, don't they like think about all the things that they could do and like all the people that could do it, and then, but they would never publish it though.
Yeah, they definitely would. You wouldn't want to do that because the press would seize upon it and lie about it. So Republicans,
you would never
want to keep it secret
against you.
You want it to be private so that you, and then
surely before we
we're the smart party, we would do that.
Before we get super wonky, there is something that needs to be said, just because we promised it a million times, and it's important that there are a lot of people currently languishing in prison called the J6ers, many of whom were completely innocent or nonviolent or all these various things. So that review needs to be undertaken, I think, almost immediately. And I'd love to see day one. So Russ Ulbricht, day one, J6ers, day one. There's just a number of people that need to be in those day one pardons or commutations.